Japan's security environment has entered a phase of quiet but profound transformation. Over the past decade, and with increasing clarity in recent years, the strategic assumptions that once allowed Japan to view its southwestern islands as distant and relatively insulated have eroded. The growing intensity of military activity in the East China Sea, combined with uncertainty surrounding the Taiwan Strait, has forced Tokyo to confront a simple geographic reality. Japan's southwestern archipelago sits directly on the fault line of regional power competition. What appears today as a series of modest, technical defense measures is, in fact, part of a much deeper recalibration of Japan's approach to national security. The chain of islands stretching from Kyushu through Okinawa to Yonaguni has always been strategically important, but its relevance has shifted dramatically. These islands are no longer perceived merely as peripheral territory. They form a natural barrier between the Pacific Ocean and the Asian mainland, controlling access routes vital to trade, energy supplies, and military movement. In an era defined by long-range missiles, air and naval power, and persistent surveillance, control and awareness in this region directly influence Japan's ability to defend its homeland. As a result, the southwestern islands have become a front line of deterrence rather than a distant buffer. Japan's response has been deliberate and restrained. The self-defense forces have expanded their presence on selected islands, but not through the construction of large, conspicuous bases. Instead, Tokyo has emphasized small, resilient units supported by advanced sensors, radar systems, and rapid mobility. The objective is not to project power outward, but to ensure constant situational awareness and the ability to respond quickly to emerging threats. This approach reflects a deeply ingrained strategic culture that values stability and risk management over escalation. One of the most debated elements of this shift is Japan's growing focus on missile capabilities. For decades, Japanese defense policy was built on the concept of exclusive defense, a doctrine that emphasized interception and protection rather than retaliation. However, advances in missile technology across the region have challenged the sufficiency of this model. The increasing range and precision of potential adversaries' systems have raised difficult questions about whether purely defensive measures can still provide credible deterrence. In response, Japan has begun to consider limited counterstrike capabilities, framed not as offensive tools, but as a means to prevent or halt attacks that threaten national survival. This evolution does not represent a rejection of Japan's post-war principles. Rather, it reflects an attempt to reinterpret them under new technological and strategic conditions. Japanese policymakers consistently emphasize that any counterstrike capability would be tightly constrained, used only in extreme circumstances, and fully integrated into a defensive posture. The emphasis remains on deterrence through capability, not through aggressive intent or rhetoric. For a Japanese audience, this distinction is crucial as it underscores continuity rather than rupture in national defense thinking. The question of Taiwan looms over these developments, even when it is not explicitly named. A major contingency in the Taiwan Strait would have immediate and unavoidable consequences for Japan. Sea lanes essential to Japan's economy pass through nearby waters, and instability in this area would directly affect energy imports and trade flows. Moreover, the proximity of Japan's southwestern islands to Taiwan means that military activity there would almost certainly spill over into Japan's security space. From Tokyo's perspective, preparing for such scenarios is not about intervention, but about protecting Japan's own territory and population from secondary effects of a regional crisis. The alliance with the United States remains central to Japan's defense strategy, particularly in the southwestern region. Joint exercises, shared intelligence, and interoperability are all key components of Japan's security framework. At the same time, there is a growing recognition in Tokyo that alliance strength depends on Japan's own capabilities. Reliance without resilience would weaken deterrence rather than strengthen it. By investing in surveillance, mobility, and limited counterstrike options, Japan aims to contribute more effectively to the alliance while retaining strategic autonomy within it. Public opinion in Japan reflects a cautious but noticeable shift. Surveys indicate that while many citizens remain deeply committed to pacifism, there is rising awareness of the deteriorating regional security environment. Support for increased defense spending and enhanced self-defense forces capabilities has grown, even as concerns about escalation persist. This duality captures the essence of Japan's current debate, a desire to avoid conflict, paired with an understanding that preparedness is essential to prevent it. The Southwestern defense posture embodies this balance, offering reassurance without provocation. It is also important to consider what Japan is not doing. Tokyo is not seeking to become a traditional military power with global reach. There is no appetite for power projection far beyond Japan's immediate surroundings, nor for abandoning the legal and normative constraints that have defined Japanese defense policy for decades. The focus remains regional, defensive, and closely tied to national survival rather than prestige or influence. Looking ahead to the period between 2030 and 2035, the Southwestern Islands are likely to become even more integrated into Japan's overall defense network. Advances in unmanned systems, sensor fusion, and multi-domain operations will further enhance Japan's ability to monitor and secure this area. If managed carefully, this evolution could stabilize rather than destabilize the region by raising the costs of coercion and miscalculation. Deterrence, in this sense, is not about confrontation, but about making conflict an unattractive option for all parties involved. Japan's quiet preparation along its southwestern defense line represents one of the most significant strategic shifts in its post-war history. It is not marked by dramatic announcements or visible displays of force, but by incremental, methodical adjustments grounded in realism. By strengthening its ability to defend key territory while maintaining a restrained posture, Japan seeks to preserve peace under increasingly challenging conditions. For a nation shaped by the lessons of the past and the uncertainties of the present, this path reflects a sober assessment of what is required to safeguard the future.